Depravity, 2024, is a psychological thriller that explores the intersection of ambition, morality, and human depravity in the context of urban isolation. The film centers on Alex, a former professional football player recovering from a traumatic brain injury, who moves into a historic but mysterious apartment building called the Lancaster. He soon becomes entangled in a web of suspicion, paranoia, and violence when he begins to suspect one of his neighbors, Carl Evers, might be a serial killer. Themes of isolation, identity, and moral ambiguity run through the narrative, as Alex grapples with his deteriorating mental state while trying to uncover the truth about Evers. The story unfolds in a tense and atmospheric setting, with the looming presence of the Lancaster serving as a character in its own right. The new arrival. The movie opens with Alex moving into the Lancaster, a historic building known for its architectural charm and quirky residents. He quickly befriends Grace, his neighbor on the same floor, and Aria, a recent art history graduate interning at a local museum. These early interactions are lighthearted but laced with unease, as the characters share stories about strange happenings in the building. The tension escalates when Grace mentions that several women in the neighborhood have gone missing over the past year. The police suspect a serial killer might be responsible, but there's little evidence to go on. The Lancaster's residents, including Evers, are mentioned as being private and eccentric, with Evers standing out as particularly mysterious. Alex's adjustment to his new home is complicated by his own struggles. As a former athlete forced to retire due to multiple concussions, he experiences mood swings, memory lapses, and insomnia. These symptoms blur the line between reality and imagination, making him an unreliable narrator. Suspicion and discovery. As Alex settles into his new life, he begins noticing strange occurrences around the building. Evers frequently hosts loud, extravagant parties, only to retreat into silence for days afterward. Residents gossip about his odd behavior, but no one seems particularly concerned except Alex. One night, Alex hears a scream from Evers' apartment, followed by loud thumps and a metallic sound. Grace and Aria, who are with Alex at the time, dismiss it as the building's old pipes, but Alex becomes fixated on the idea that Evers is hiding something. He starts watching Evers' movements and documents suspicious activity, such as women entering Evers' apartment but never being seen leaving. Alex's obsession deepens when he discovers a concealed laundry chute in his own apartment that connects to the building's old furnace room. He speculates that Evers might be using this chute to dispose of bodies, fueling his paranoia. Breaking and entering. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex devises a plan to enter Evers' apartment. With Grace's reluctant help, he accesses the crawl space above their units and sneaks into Evers' pantry. Inside, Alex finds a hidden stash of money, photographs of the missing women, and a mannequin eerily painted to resemble one of Evers' recent guests. These discoveries convince Alex that Evers is a serial killer, but Grace remains skeptical, warning him not to jump to conclusions. Alex's behavior grows increasingly erratic as he insists on confronting Evers. Meanwhile, Aria learns about Alex's actions and cautions him against taking matters into his own hands. The confrontation. When Evers leaves for the weekend, Alex and Grace decide to gather more evidence. They break into his apartment and discover a disturbing shrine filled with personal belongings of the missing women. The chilling atmosphere of the apartment, cold, sterile, and meticulously organized, solidifies Alex's belief that Evers is a predator. As they explore further, Evers unexpectedly returns, forcing Alex and Grace into a tense standoff. Evers attacks Grace, and in the ensuing struggle, Aria arrives and fatally wounds Evers with a knife. The trio is left to deal with the aftermath of the confrontation, grappling with the moral and legal implications of their actions. The aftermath. With Evers dead, Alex, Grace, and Aria face a harrowing decision, whether to report the incident to the police or cover up their involvement. They realize that their illegal entry into Evers' apartment complicates their claim of self-defense, potentially exposing them to charges of felony murder. The trio's conflicting motivations create tension as they debate what to do next. Alex argues for destroying the evidence and disposing of Evers' body, while Grace and Aria wrestle with their guilt and fear of being implicated. Their decision to hide the crime sets the stage for a morally ambiguous ending. The film closes with the three characters going their separate ways, haunted by their actions. The Lancaster, once a symbol of community and intrigue, now looms as a monument to their shared secret. Themes and analysis. Isolation and urban decay. The Lancaster serves as a microcosm of urban life, where neighbors coexist in close proximity but remain disconnected. The building's age and quirks reflect the decay of community trust, amplifying the sense of isolation felt by its residents. Moral ambiguity. The characters' choices highlight the gray areas of morality. Alex's determination to expose Evers stems from a desire for justice, but his methods and motivations are questionable. Similarly, Grace and Aria's complicity in covering up Evers' death underscores the complexity of right and wrong in desperate situations. Psychological unreliability. Alex's mental state plays a crucial role in the narrative. His history of brain injuries and mood swings raises questions about the reliability of his perceptions, forcing the audience to question whether Evers was truly a killer or a victim of Alex's paranoia. Moral dilemmas and themes. The cost of vigilantism. Alex's decision to act outside the law reflects the central theme of vigilantism. While his intentions may be noble, his methods spying, breaking, and entering, and ultimately inciting a fatal confrontation are ethically questionable. The film critiques the dangers of taking justice into one's own hands, showing how Alex's actions not only lead to Ever's death but also implicate Grace and Arya in a crime. This theme resonates in the characters' final debate about whether to report the incident or cover it up, highlighting the moral ambiguity of their choices. Isolation and urban alienation. The Lancaster symbolizes the isolation and disconnection of modern urban life. Despite living in close proximity, the residents know little about each other and are quick to dismiss odd behaviors as eccentricities. This lack of community fosters an environment where suspicion and paranoia can thrive unchecked. The film's depiction of urban alienation extends to its characters, particularly Alex, whose TBI isolates him both physically and emotionally. His growing obsession with Evers serves as a coping mechanism for his loneliness and lack of purpose. Psychological unreliability. Alex's TBI is a masterstroke of psychological storytelling, casting doubt on his perceptions and motives. The audience experiences the story through Alex's perspective, which blurs the line between reality and delusion. For example, the screams and thumps Alex hears from Evers' apartment might be real or they might be hallucinations exacerbated by his insomnia and paranoia. Similarly, the photographs and shrine in Evers' apartment could be evidence of guilt or they could be innocent artifacts misinterpreted by Alex's distorted mind. This ambiguity challenges viewers to question their own assumptions and biases, making the film a thought-provoking exploration of truth and perception. The Lancaster as a character. The Lancaster is more than just a setting, it functions as a character in its own right, embodying the film's themes of decay and secrecy. The building's architectural beauty contrasts with its dark history and eerie atmosphere, creating a sense of foreboding that permeates the narrative. The hidden laundry chute, crawl spaces, and furnace room add layers of intrigue, symbolizing the secrets buried within both the building and its residents. These physical spaces serve as metaphors for the characters' hidden motives and buried guilt. Cinematic techniques and atmosphere. Visual storytelling. Director Name employs a muted color palette dominated by grays, browns, and deep blues to reflect the film's somber tone. The lighting is dim and shadowy, with flickering bulbs and slivers of sunlight adding to the sense of unease. The camera work, often using tight close-ups and wide, empty shots of the Lancaster's hallways, emphasizes the character's isolation and the building's oppressive presence. Sound design. The sound design is a standout feature, with ambient noises like creaking floorboards, distant whispers, and faint screams creating an auditory sense of dread. The use of silence is particularly effective, heightening the tension in key moments and forcing the audience to focus on the character's breathing and movements. The score. The minimalist score, composed of haunting piano melodies and subtle string arrangements, mirrors the character's emotional states. As Alex's paranoia intensifies, the music becomes more dissonant and fragmented, reflecting his unraveling psyche. Ending and open-ended questions. The film's conclusion leaves several questions unanswered, reinforcing its themes of ambiguity and moral complexity. By choosing to hide Evers' death, Alex, Grace, and Arya become complicit in their own form of depravity, blurring the line between victim and perpetrator. The final scene showing Alex staring at Evers' apartment door, now sealed and silent, raises the possibility that Alex's suspicions may have been correct all along. Alternatively, it suggests that Alex's paranoia has consumed him entirely, leaving viewers to ponder the nature of truth and justice. Conclusion. Depravity, 2024, is a haunting and thought-provoking thriller that challenges audiences to confront uncomfortable questions about morality, justice, and the human psyche. Through its complex characters, atmospheric setting, and masterful storytelling, the film delivers a compelling exploration of the darker aspects of urban life and personal ambition. With its ambiguous ending and nuanced themes, Depravity lingers in the mind long after the credits roll, inviting viewers to question their own perceptions of reality and morality. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.